Flosstube, I'm Annie and I am the Proper Stitcher, and welcome to episode 124. If this is your first time joining me, this is a channel where I like to talk about cross stitch and hopefully give you inspiration to fully finish your projects. And if you're returning, thank you so much for your continued support. All of your wonderful comments you send my way, I appreciate each and every one of you. You have noticed that a lot of designers are releasing their summer new releases. And the beauty about our summer releases is we are not on a time schedule like we are leading up to market, spring market in Nashville. So with our summer releases, we have a little bit of a surprise almost daily, sometimes weekly, a couple of times a week, of all of these new releases coming out from all these wonderful designers. And I love that. I love that we can spread it out and take our time and figure out what we want to stitch, what we want to order, and there is no rush with getting them all at the same time. So I love summer releases. I have 5 summer releases for you today. I have a 6th one that will be ready on July the 1st. So I'm going to share with you all 6, but the first 5 are available for immediate purchasing and ordering from your needlework stores. I will pause in between each of the new releases. At the end of the video or after the 6th one that I share with you, I will go over how you order, how you purchase, all those housekeeping type things. So like I always say, grab a pen and paper, grab your favorite beverage, and grab your cross stitching, and let's get started. We have a reproduction sampler. I really wanted to go back to a very small, very simple reproduction sampler. If you have been with me for a while, my very first releases last summer were small, simple, easy to stitch samplers, and I really wanted to revisit that with my very first release for the summer. And you will find all of those wonderful things in Margaret Kendal 1820. So I'm going to show you my reproduction, and then we will look at the original, and I'll give you all of the details of Margaret Kendal 1820. But what first caught my attention with this sampler was all the beautiful shades that Margaret's used. She did use silk in the original, and so I used MPI silk for the reproduction. I loved the shades of blue, a couple of different shades of blue, light shades of green, golds, and browns. So let's take a quick look at Margaret Kendal, and then we will go into detail about her. I just loved these colors. And I love how one color seems to flow into the next. It's very subtle, but packs a lot of punch with all those beautiful shades. And I just really loved these flowers down here. And I wrote a little note or a little letter inside this reproduction sampler, because I like to do that when I can find a little bit of information about our stitcher. And I found a little bit of information about Margaret, and I include a letter in the sampler or in the pattern for you. I liked that she included these little hearts, and these little flowers down here were very just so fun to stitch. I don't know if they're tulips or lily of the valley, but they caught my attention by the way that they hang and lay on the sides. I just thought that this was a fun sampler. If you want to stitch a quick gift for someone or for yourself, this is one of those samplers that only takes a few days to stitch. So take another peek. We'll talk about Margaret Kendal, and then I will show you the original sampler. So all of my patterns come in a wonderful bag that is durable. You can store your floss in there. You can not worry about it tearing the pattern. It's very sturdy. So let's read about Margaret Kendal. Here's your pattern cover, Margaret Kendal 1820. And let's go over some details. So the stitch count for Margaret Kendal is 88 wide by 124 high. And the finished size, I stitched this on 36 count. So the finished size for this is 4 7/8 inches by 6 7/8. So as you can see, it is just the perfect little size. I used the fabric 36 count Shrekie's Tan by Needle Bling Designs. And that is one of my favorite color linens, but you can use any neutral color. But I just loved how the linen was just gave it enough modeling to give us some interest in this sampler, but it wasn't distracting. Just so pretty and such a joy to stitch on. I used 1 strand of floss over 2 linen threads, and I did use all MPI needlepoint silks for this piece. Like with all of my charts, I do have a DMC color conversion, but just keep in mind, I will say this with all of them, just keep in mind that there will be a slight variation if you use the color conversions. I do want to give a special thank you to Ramona Bishop, who is my framer here in Knoxville. She works at a art gallery called Bennett. I will list it below. She does a beautiful job with framing. She's framed this piece and another piece that I'm going to share with you, and she does all of my framing for me. She is also a needle worker. She has been a cross stitcher for many, many years, and she has been a framer for about 30 years. I trust her dearly. But this is one of my favorite frames that I have come across, and I just thought that it was a beautiful selection for this small sampler. So this is Margaret Kendal 1820. Very quick, very simple stitch. And I also include a photograph of the original sampler, but here it is for you to see. So this is Margaret Kendal as she stitched it in 1820, and it is absolutely beautiful. I had so much fun charting it. I had so much fun just discovering so many little things about Margaret. One thing I found interesting is she flipped the J, and she also left off L. So she flipped the J and left off the L. But Margaret did a wonderful job, aged 11, 1820. So that is Miss Margaret Kendal, 1820, and she is just a joy to stitch. I hope you enjoy stitching her as much as I did. We all love patriotic stitching. I enjoy stitching patriotic designs. I just love having a dough bowl on my coffee table, and I fill it with all kinds of pin cushions that are whatever the season is, but especially for patriotic. So my next release that I want to share with you is called Patriotic Quaker 1776. And this little pin keep is also very quick to stitch. You can finish this in so many different ways. You can finish it as a long pillow like I did, or you can even make it as a drum. I started to stitch this and make it as a drum. I may stitch it again and just finish it into a drum, but I wanted a longer pillow because I have a big bowl on my coffee table, and I wanted something bigger to fill that, or longer to fill that bowl. So let's look at Patriotic Quaker 1776. I have so many details to share with you about this. We'll take a peek and then I'll go over all the details with you. So this is, it has this wonderful zigzag border. You can see the patriotic designs, or the Quaker designs throughout. This beautiful flag stand in the middle, and then 1776 with our two birds. These pins are from Jersey Girl Stitch Company. They are available in her shop right now. They make the perfect decorative accessory to this pin keep. But thank you, Teresa with Jersey Girl Stitch Company. I'll link her below if you want to order these pins. They are shorter, so if you do make this into a drum, it will fit very easily into a drum. And they have the silver bird and the silver star. So this was stitched on 32 count. I will go over all those details here in a minute, but I just want to give you another peek at Patriotic Quaker 1776. So, and I did finish with some rickrack on the top. I'll tell you all about that in just a second. So Patriotic Quaker 1776, it really only took me maybe 2 nights of stitching, 3 nights of stitching. It's very quick, very simple stitch. Here's your pattern, Patriotic Quaker 1776. And this one is 160 stitches wide by 52 stitches high. The perfect size for a long pillow or a drum. The finished size is 10 inches by 3 1/4 inches. The fabric I used is 32 count Milk and Honey by Fiber on a Whim. I used 2 strands of floss over 2 strands of linen. The floss that I used for this, Weeks Dye Works, we have Grits for the white, we have Battleship for the blue, and we have Baked Apple for the red. There is a DMC color conversion, and the finishing trim that I use, this beautiful rickrack, is from Lady Dot Creates, and it's her 7 32 inch wide rickrack, and the color is Storm Blue. So you can see it's just a tiny size, and when I attach my rickrack, I like to then go back in and give it a pinch up. So I don't attach the corners. I just go in the dip of the rickrack so that I can then go in and pinch them up to give it just a little bit of dimension around the sides. I just had a piece of blue fabric in my stash. Any fabric of your choice would make it the perfect backing for this patriotic pillow. So this is an original design. This is not a reproduction. And this is Patriotic Quaker 1776. And here is what your pattern cover looks like. Next, we have the summer sampler. This is the final sampler in the small seasonal sampler series that I've been creating. I started with autumn sampler last fall, then we had winter sampler, and then we had spring sampler, and now we are closing it up with summer sampler. This is a summer sampler. And I really wanted to create and use colors that could carry you through all of summer into late summer until you get your fall items out, until you get autumn sampler out of your storage and decorate. So what we have is we have a blue house, perfect shade of blue for summer. And then we have these whimsical, fun sunflowers. I love sunflowers. I love decorating with sunflowers, and I really enjoy fresh cut sunflowers. So I wanted to use sunflowers, which I also feel like that can carry this into late summer, early fall. We have our reds, we have our greens, all the beautiful colors of summer. And then of course we have our fun alphabet sprinkled throughout to create this small sampler. This is a summer sampler. So let's go over all the details of a summer sampler. So summer sampler is 84 stitches wide by 84 stitches high. The finished size is 5 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, the perfect size. This was stitched on 32 count Milk and Honey by Fiber on a Whim. And the floss that we used is All Weeks Dye Works. And I do have a DMC color conversion listed for you. This is definitely one that keep in mind that the color variation is going to be slightly different if you use the DMC conversion. And I really want to give a special thank you to my friend Jenny Alley with the Bougie Stitchers. She is also a model stitcher for me, and she beautifully model stitched this design for me. So Ramona with Bennett also framed this for me. You can see that the shade of blue for the frame is the perfect shade of blue. It's not too dark, it's not too light, it's just right. But Ramona framed this piece for me, and I just think that it is the perfect frame to make all these colors stand out and pop. But I really love that the sunflowers, I just want to show you that detail. We have two different shades of gold and yellow for the sunflowers, and they are in these three big sunflowers. So we've got, let me share with you, we have autumn sampler, we had a winter sampler, and we had spring sampler, and now we have summer sampler to finish up the 4 seasons of samplers. So this one is, all of my models are currently at, these 3 models are currently on their way to Cincinnati for StitchCon, and I will be hand delivering this one to have at StitchCon next week. So we will have all 4 of those little samplers at StitchCon, or else I'd show them all to you today. But this is the last of the 4, and it is Summer Sampler, and it is absolutely one of my favorites. I just love the colors. I love anything blue, but then you throw in the sunflowers and we have a happy little sampler. So Summer Sampler to wrap up the 4 seasons. Next up, I am going to combine the next 2 releases together in this segment because they are a part of a new series that I am starting. I designed and stitched Lucky You for the spring market. So I released this sweet little design in March, and I had so much fun designing and stitching and creating this sheep and this ewe and this girl that I decided to continue this theme on into a series. The series is called Celebrate Ewe, E-W-E, and you will see that sheep pop up throughout the year, whether it is for a holiday or for an everyday occurrence, but the ewe will always be present, and it is going to be Celebrating Ewe. So let's start the first Celebrate Ewe with Sew You. And Sew You is spelled S-E-W for this sewing themed ewe. So we have this adorable sheep again, and we have a basket of tomatoes and sewing spools, and the ewe is holding a sewing tomato pincushion in his mouth. And we have this adorable girl in my favorite shade of blue, Chesapeake Bay by Classic Colorworks. She's holding 3 spools of thread with more sewing tomatoes, a little sewing tomato wristlet. We have some back stitching on the spools of thread, and for the spool, for the thread that's kind of swinging in the wind on the back of the ewe. We have some scissors and buttons. The buttons would be so cute if you wanted to actually sew buttons instead of stitching those buttons. And then we have our Quaker star up here. This one was so much fun to create. A very special thank you to Michelle Stoner for model stitching this for me. Her stitching is beautiful. Just something to know, in the series, the sheep color will always be the same. So we have parchment and onyx. Those are both Weeks Dye Works colors. And you can see you get that beautiful variegation on the sheep's color. So this one is titled Sew You. And after I show you the next one, we'll talk about this wonderful board from Chantelle 141 Design Company, and just this amazing design. I'm just so excited to bring this series to you. This is Sew You. Let's go over the details of this one. Here's your pattern cover. Sew You, a Celebrate You series. And here we go. So all of these designs are going to always be the same size. So if you want to use this board for finishing, it will always fit on that board. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. So this stitch count will always be 70 by 70. The finished size, if you stitch this on 32 count, will be 4 3/8 by 4 3/8 inches. So the models are stitched on 32 count pistachio frappe by Grace Notes. And as of now, I'm probably going to stitch them all or design them all on that same fabric, using 2 strands of floss over 2 linen threads. This one does use a combination of Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colorworks and DMC. There is a DMC color conversion, especially as I mentioned before, you will get a slight variation if you only use DMC, especially when you are stitching the sheet. You will not get that variation with your DMC conversion. So the finishing board is from Chantelle 141 Design Company. The paint used for the board is also from Chantelle 141 Design Company. So this board and the next board that I'm about to show you, the board will always be on her small bender board. And it's a plain board and it is super easy to finish. I actually painted these myself this time, so I'll go over all of that in a minute. But the board is from Chantelle 141 Design Company, and so are the DIY paints. The paint colors that were used, it's all listed on the back of the chart. I used Little Black Dress for the black, Bead Board, and Sandy Blonde for the distressing of the boards. Thank you again to my model stitcher, Michelle Stoner, for stitching these two for me. So before I go on to the next one, let's look at Sew You one more time. Super fun, super quick and easy, and I'll show you all the details on finishing in just a moment. So next up for our Celebrate You series, we have, for the holiday, we have Patriotic Ewe. So this is Patriotic Ewe, and we have our ewe dressed up for the 4th of July, wearing a flag or having a flag banner, this beautiful basket of summer flowers. We have our Uncle Sam patriotic costume. She's holding a sparkler. I love her hat. Of course, we have to have patriotic bunting and fireworks in the background. We have them spotted throughout and the bigger burst of fireworks. So this one, I'll go over all the details as well. Before I forget, this fabric is the Priscilla's Stripes with Stitching with the Housewives. I used her stripe ticking fabric and it's in the blue. Super quick. Michelle Stoner also stitched this one for me. So let's go over the details of this one. So Patriotic Ewe, here is your pattern cover. And this pattern, again, it continues with the Celebrate You series. It is 70 stitches wide by 70 stitches high, which makes it 4 3/8 by 4 3/8 inches on 32 count pistachio frappe Grace Notes linen. So 2 strands of floss over 2 linen threads. We used a combination, actually all Weeks Dye Works floss in this one with a couple of DMC colors. There is a DMC color conversion provided. The same color paint for the board, for the small bender board, we have Little Black Dress, Bead Board, and Sandy Blonde. I'll list all of that below, along with Chantelle's website. And then again, thank you to Michelle Stoner for model stitching this for me. So I wanted to show you my thoughts and idea on how to use this board for all of the series. I contacted Chantelle because she is wonderful with all of her boards. So when I went up to visit my daughter in Michigan, I took a quick trip to a Chantelle shop to look at all of her boards. And we decided to use her small bender boards. This is the big bender board, our large bender board, I think is what it's called. But these, I wanted to show one to you unfinished. So this is the board. This is the bigger one. And these are the stands. So you paint them yourself. They come unfinished. And Chantelle encouraged me to paint it myself. The last few boards I've gotten from Chantelle, she has sent to me painted for the models, and she said, you try it this time. I know you can do it. So she sent me with the paints and with the boards, and I did it by myself. It was super easy. She has so many tutorials on how to paint and sand these boards. It was super quick. I want to say maybe each board took 5 minutes to paint, not long at all. What took the longest was me telling myself I could do it. It was so easy. But what I want to show you is with this series, you can do several things. You can buy a board for each one if that is something you want to do, or you can use magnets and washers on the back, and you can simply remove the piece because they're always going to be the same size, and you double mount it. I will put the measurements below of the size cuts that I made, but I want to say I did 5 by 5 and then 5.5 by 5.5 are the two sizes I used for these two. I also have tutorials on how I flat finish pieces, and so does Chantelle, so does Priscilla with Stitching with the Housewives. So many different tutorials out there. But what the point I want to make is, if you want to do one board for the whole series and just switch it out, you can, because all you do is it clips right on. I did the same with the button finish. So this is just a cover button, and I put a magnet behind it so you can change out the bow to match. So that is one way you can do your Celebrate You series if you just want to buy one board. But if you have one that is non-seasonal and say you want to keep this in your sewing room, then you can have another board. But I did the same on this one. I used the magnets so it comes right off. And if you want to take it a step further and not constantly change the fabric in the back, you can find a fabric that has black and brown, because our sheep will always be the same color, and you can use this for your backer and just change out your stitched piece if you want to make it one less thing to do. I like to change and coordinate the fabric, so I'm always going to change the fabric to match the piece. But if you wanted, you could easily find a black and cream and white backing fabric to just keep that the same. So this is always going to be the board I will use for this Celebrate You series. And I love how it stands up. It will look great on your kitchen counter, anywhere you decorate, an end table, on a bookshelf. So easy, so much fun. And Chantelle, thank you so much for these boards. These boards will always be available. This is another reason we chose this board. This is a board she will always have available on her shop. Again, this is the plain bender board. This size is small. So I'll list that below, but here we go. One last time. We have Sew You, and we have Patriotic Ewe. So much fun. I'm so excited to continue to bring this series to you. So now we have 3. We have Patriotic Ewe, we have Sew You, and we have Lucky You. All 3 are available now. So keep an eye out for more to come. Let's take a quick break. I'll come back with our soon to be released last piece. I was asked by Alicia with the Fanciful Flamingo to design a pattern for her My Favorite Things subscription box. And the month that I designed the pattern for was May. So the theme of that box was strawberries, and I wanted to create something that was also friendship related. So it was strawberries and friendship. So this one was in that subscription box, but it is available to be released to the public, to everyone else, July the 1st. I wanted to go ahead and include it with our summer releases just so you can keep an eye out for it, because I am taking pre-orders from shops at the moment. So let's take another look at Sweet Friendships. This is free Sweet Friendships, and this was designed for her box. So this one, I just enjoyed it so much. I will go over the details with you all in just a moment, but this is based off of Proverbs 27:9, and it says, "Sweet friendships refresh the soul and awaken our hearts with joy." And I really wanted, again, to think of a summer piece that can last all summer, but also have a patriotic look to it. So we've got to play on reds and whites and blues. So when you look in closely, you can see the little white flowers on the sunflower vines. We have an exaggerated tomato growing out of a pot, and we've got this beautiful vine going throughout. I really wanted it to be a primitive in nature design, but also whimsical. So I really kept that feel going in it. It's a super quick design, a piece to stitch. It was a lot of fun. It's also finished on a Chantelle 141 design board. Chantelle actually finished this one for the box because it was sort of one of those where she needed the piece to match the color for the board. The board is painted in the color Hay Sailor, so H-E-Y Sailor. Very easy to paint this board. I absolutely love this color. It matches the blue in the words. This is all stitched in DMC. The strawberries are all different sizes, and the backing fabric is a Riley Blake fabric. The rickrack is also Lady Dot Creates in the color Vintage. So we're going to go over all those details in just a moment. So this is Sweet Friendships, and I want to read to y'all a letter that I included in this because you all know that I just love this cross stitch community, and I have met so many wonderful people along the way. And over the last few months, a lot of these sweet friends have really lifted me up in moments and times that I needed to be lifted. And that is really what I was thinking when I designed this piece, because I wanted to sort of give a thank you to all of my friends in the cross stitch community. So this is a portion of what I wrote. It says, "If you've been with me on this stitching journey long, you've heard me say that the cross stitch community is the greatest support network across the board. Since I began the journey of designing, I've been wrapped in love and encouragement from other designers and stitchers who are a constant reminder of the true meaning of friendship. When designing this piece, I wanted to recognize and honor what these friendships meant to me and our community." So I'm going to skip through that. I'm describing the piece, which I just did. But I wanted to also include that strawberries are a symbol of sweetness, love, beauty, perfection, and are associated with the warmth and fun of summertime. This seems to be the epitome of what our community shares, from our small stitching groups to the exciting retreats we may attend. So what the verse says, and it is from Proverbs 27:9, the full verse is, "Sweet friendships refresh the soul and awaken our hearts with joy. For good friends are like the anointing oil that yields the fragrant incense of God's presence." So this is Sweet Friendships, and I thank you all for your wonderful friendship and for always just lifting me up when I needed it the most. But I hope you enjoy this. Contact your stores when they place their order with me for the other summer releases. We can add a pre-order list for Sweet Friendships so that when July 1st hits, you all do not have to wait. Your shops will have it. I will ship them out on July the 1st. So let me give you the details on Sweet Friendships. So it is stitched on the stitch count is 99 by 99 which when it's stitched on 32 count, that makes it 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 inches. It was stitched on 32 count freeze by Atomic Ranch, and all DMC colors were, all the floss used are DMC colors. The trim that was used, or the rickrack that was used, is Lady Dot Creates Vintage. And the finishing board is the Everything Board by Chantelle's 1-for-1 Design Company. And the paint color used on the board is Hay Sailor. The paint you can also get on Chantelle's website. And that is it. That is Sweet Friendships. And this one is wonderful. Great gift for someone, or just a piece to have. I know a lot of you like to decorate with strawberries for the summer. So what a beautiful piece to add to your vignettes. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with a housekeeping wrap up on how to order your charts, and we'll be right back. I hope you all are as excited about these 6 new releases as I am, because I had so much fun designing and selecting colors and stitching and finishing and getting all those final details together for you. It is a true passion of mine. I do love stitching, and I especially like stitching summer patterns. There's something more relaxed about stitching in the summer. There's no timeline there. It's not like you're trying to hurry and stitch for a Christmas gift. They are so much fun, and I wanted to keep all of these in small sizes so that you can make them a weekend stitch. You know, you can make it a vacation stitch so that it's quick and easy and fun to do. So I hope that you saw something that you liked. So if you would like to place an order, as I always do, I like to give our needlework stores the first opportunity to sell these items to you. That's a great way for you to kit the project. It's for you to call them and say, not only do I want the pattern, but go ahead and let's get the floss and the fabric that I need. So what I am doing today is I am emailing a newsletter to all of the shops that I have in my database. Unfortunately, sometimes these emails, when you send mass emails or these newsletters, they can go to spam or to their it could be blocked. So hopefully all the shops will get this newsletter. In that newsletter, I have the photo and all the detailed information for each design. I will also be making a social media post with all the information too. So if you would like to order, contact your shop. Your store can either order directly through me and I will ship it to them, or they can order from Hoffman. Hoffman Distributing Company will not have these patterns until a couple of days. We're still working out how many they want me to send, etc. So they may not have it on their website for a few days, but your shop can always order directly through me as well. So so wherever you have purchased my patterns before, they know how to get in touch with me. But if there is a new shop that would like to reach out to me, my email is theproperstitcher@gmail.com, and I will send them all the information they need on pricing, and I will ship these out immediately. I have them printed and ready to go. They will not be available in my shop, my Etsy shop, for several weeks. So that is just something that I really want to do. I really want to promote and support needlework stores. The Sweet Friendships will be available July the 1st. They can go ahead and email me, they meaning the shop owners, can go ahead and email me their pre-order, and I will ship it to them for them to have in their stores on July 1st. So I know that's a little confusing, but basically contact wherever you like to purchase your patterns and ask them to order from me or from Hoffman, and we will get these to you as soon as we can. Hopefully I have gone over everything. So just a reminder, we have Margaret Kendal, a reproduction sampler. We have Patriotic Quaker, a pin keep. You may order the pins for the Patriotic Quaker directly from Jersey Girl Stitch Company. These are just amazing pins. Thank you, Teresa, for those. And we have Summer Sampler. We have Sew You. And we have Patriotic Ewe. And we have Sweet Friendships available July the 1st. As always, if you have any questions, leave them below. Don't hesitate to contact me directly. Again, my email is theproperstitcher@gmail.com. I hope I didn't forget anything. I will list all the links below on where you can find the boards, where you can find the pins, and the framing. So I hope that helps. I will go back to our regular floss tubes next time with giveaways and all the things we normally have. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful week and I hope you enjoy stitching. Thanks.